What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another little quick segment of the No Name Podcast. It is your boy Rich back again with another little short video for today. Blockbuster trade just happened. I know the Houston Texans fans are loving today. It's a great day to be a Houston Texans fans. For those of you who didn't know, Blockbuster trade happened about just 30 minutes ago. Stefon Diggs was traded to these Houston Texans for a 2025 second round pick. And we knew there was issues, there was turmoil with Josh Allen and Stefon Diggs. There was a lot of Twitter feuds going on. Stefon Diggs, when he gets in that mood, he goes to Twitter to express how he feels. And, there was a lot of situations, a lot of tweets where he was retweeting, subtweeting, commenting, liking certain tweets and, just giving hints that he was unhappy with Josh Allen, the situation that they were in, right? To me, I have never thought Stefon Diggs was a top 5 receiver based on his performance in the postseason. Like, that is just me. I think, obviously, wide receivers can't control anything, but when you dominate in the regular season and then go into the playoffs and get strapped up, in the biggest games that matter, that's what bothers me, But again, this addition for the Houston Texans, I've said this before, Nico Collins, Tank Dells, very young guys, both on rookie contracts. They have so much talent and they can grow and develop over these next couple years. They've showed that they are going to be great wide receivers in the NFL, but I always said they needed a true wide receiver one, a guy who you can go to on crucial third downs, a guy who can, when one-on-one advantages, you're going to take advantage of it, and I've said CJ Stroud could use one more weapon, whether that was DeAndre Hopkins, Calvin Ridley, or whoever they wanted to pay, and they've done a great job of this. I mean, listen, no matter how much I dislike or like Stefon Diggs, he is a 4-time Pro Bowler, right? He is in the top 5, top 6 discussion at the wide receiver position the last 4 to 5, 6 years. He has been top 10 wide receiver since he's been in the league. He's a very good route runner. He's a great player, great receiver. He has attitude problems. That's been known. He comes with a bit of emotional turmoil. He sometimes can be a bad energy in the locker room if things aren't going good, right? But you bring in a guy like this for a second round pick in 2025. You already traded your first round pick to Minnesota. So you have draft capital. You're not missing out on too much. But this is a great trade for Houston. Obviously, CJ Stroud getting another huge weapon, right? You already have Dalton Schultz. You just picked up Joe Mixon, a guy who's, I believe, is very underrated in the NFL. I'm a very big fan of Joe Mixon. Dalton Schultz, again, a guy I'm very, very high on. And this just shows that Houston Texans are going all in, and this is huge not only for Houston Texans. I mean, a team that was 3 wins just 2 years ago, and you finally hit on a quarterback. You brought in Will Anderson, 2 very young offensive rookie of the year, defensive rookie of the year. You brought in 2 talented, great young guys, and this team is ready to win. And everybody knows you got to take advantage of your quarterback being on a rookie contract, and that's exactly what they're doing. They brought in Everson Griffin. They added to that D-line. They brought in D'Amico Autry, who's formerly played with D'Amico Ryans in San Francisco, right? You brought in Jeff Okudah. You brought in CJ Henderson, who I am, from Florida. He spent his time in Jacksonville. I still believe he deserves another chance. I think he can be a solid young piece out here. And Okudah too. He's not terrible. He's not great. 2 players who need to prove themselves, and they're going to have a chance to do that on a winning team. You're buying into winning now, and this is great for Houston. This is great. You're showing you're committed. Listen, the Houston Texans, I've heard some talks about people say they don't think they are going to perform as well as they just previously did due to the fact that, they have a tougher schedule. They're going to have to play Kansas City. They're going to have to play Cincinnati. They're going to have to play in Dallas, and now you have an opportunity where it's going to be Diggs on Diggs in Dallas. These storylines cannot be any better. The buildup is going to be insane. They knew they needed to add to what they already had if they wanted to go on a good regular season run and make sure that sophomore slump does not happen, and they've done exactly that. They've added to all their weaknesses. You still have the draft. You still have a defensive-minded head coach who can go out there and hit on some picks, so I'm liking what this team is bringing forward. I'm a big fan of CJ Stroud. He proved me wrong last year. He really, after week 1, week 2, he really showed me that I was wrong about what I projected him to be, and again, I'm excited for this team. I'm excited for Houston Texans, a team who hasn't really won much in their franchise history. I was a big Deshaun Watson fan, and ever since Deshaun Watson left, it's been downhill. You've had issues his last year there, But so this is great for Houston, great for the city, for Texas. This is great for the organization, for CJ Stroud. This is a great day to be a Houston Texans fan, right? But this also is going to weigh negatively on the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen, a guy who is referred to as a top 3 quarterback, top 2 quarterback, just right behind Patrick Mahomes or behind Joe Burrow, however you want to put it, right? But a very talented quarterback who's gone through these stretches where he has turnover problems. You've seen the last couple years he's had turnover issues, which has really negatively affected the team's outcome and the success, right? So there's definitely been some struggles on offense, but again, at the end of the day, he is Josh Allen. He is a guy who can do a lot on his own. His ability to run, he's got a strong arm. He can make any throw. He is elite. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Okay. But this is a chance for Josh Allen not only to prove he can win without Stefon Diggs, he can perform without a top wide receiver, just like Patrick Mahomes just had to prove, like Tom Brady did many years in his career, So, listen, the Buffalo Bills receiving room, it's not what it once was. You just let Gabe Davis walk out. You brought in Curtis Samuel. You still have Khair Shakir. You have Justin Shorter, KJ Hamler, Andy and Isabella, right? So you have some guys. It's nothing impressive. Shakir had a great year, solid year last year. Curtis Samuel, I still think he could benefit from being around a good quarterback, a consistent quarterback. So I think there's some decent upside for him this year. But this is not the team that we recently seen in the past. Obviously, they cut Tre'Davious White, went ways with Mitch Morris, Leonard Floyd, Jordan Poyer, obviously trading Stefon Diggs today, Mitch Morris. They have definitely lost some players to this team, and now there's a lot of question marks about what Josh Allen is truly made of. Can he lead a team to the playoffs? Can he make a deep playoff run with this team? Can he elevate his game and be a damn near perfect version of himself this season for his team, And I think if there is a quarterback who you can expect, you can, set the expectations, set the bar for him to perform at a superstar level, it's Josh Allen. Josh Allen is one of those guys who he's capable of doing it. We've seen him have phenomenal years, and we've seen him win games. We've seen him win close games. We've seen him win playoff games. He is just, if he takes care of the ball, I think Josh Allen is going to be completely fine. Obviously, not having the team you once had, those little mistakes can really cost you in the back end, So this is definitely a step back for the Buffalo Bills, but you got a couple picks. You had to make cap space, obviously, with all the players that were on extending contracts, and you couldn't re-sign, you couldn't bring back, So you definitely are taking a step back this year. Do I expect the Buffalo Bills to go on a Super Bowl run? No, but I do expect them to be a competitive team. It's not like their division is looking very scary. The Miami Dolphins, although they've improved defensively, I still don't think of them as a team that's going to win tough, hard-nosed fought games, just like Buffalo blew them out twice last year. Kansas City, when things got hard, beat them, with a very terrible, lackluster offense. So again, I'm not scared of a team like that. And then you look at the New York Jets, who, if they draft properly, they could have some chance to be a better team, but again, Aaron Rodgers coming off an Achilles injury, Mike Williams, a guy who's injury prone. And so Tyron Smith, another guy who's guaranteed to miss 4 or 5 games in a year, so there are question marks about all the teams in the division. And then obviously New England is just, we don't know if they're going to draft a quarterback or trade back and build an offense and a team for a quarterback for the future, for next year's draft. So we'll see. There's a lot of question marks in that division. So it's not like the Miami's got it on lock. New York Jets got it on lock. They could still go out there and compete for that division with Josh Allen at the helm. Josh Allen is more than capable of winning the division, winning the necessary games, 9, 10, 11 games. However you have to do it, they're more than capable of doing that. But overall, this is a B+ trade for me. Why is it not higher? Because because I don't think Stefon Diggs is top 5. my feelings about Stefon Diggs is what doesn't make it an A+ for me. Do I think Stefon Diggs was the best option they could have got out there? Yes, based on who was in what positions, who signed, and who just got extended and things like that. He was the best option for them to go get, and they went out and did it. And this is a huge step for Houston Texans going forward. I think Stefon Diggs is going to have a phenomenal year. It's going to open up for Tank Dell and Nico Collins. We've already seen what CJ Stroud can do with no Tank Dell, Nico Collins, and this lackluster receiving core. Like Noah Brown was stepping up to be your wide receiver 2 when Tank Dell got hurt. Noah Brown had a phenomenal year. So this is, I think the upside, the potential of this team, this offense is just, it's scary. This is a team that just won a playoff game. You just knocked off one of the top 5 defenses in the league. You put up 40 points against the Cleveland Browns last year in a playoff game, in a closeout game, like a must win. So the sky's the limit for this team. I have high hopes for this team. I like the young talent they've put around CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud obviously being phenomenal. I think CJ Stroud's numbers are just going to flourish. I think they're just going to get better, especially with the addition of Joe Mixon. If they upgraded our running back, Joe Mixon, over Devin Singletary, I believe Joe Mixon is a more complete running back, and he's proven that, right? You have a solid O-line, a top 5 quarterback, you have a top 7 receiver, and then you have 2 young guys who are just trying to prove themselves coming on year 3 and year 2 for Tank Dell, Dalton Schultz, who has been a great receiving target in Dallas, and I hope for him to continue to flourish. Again, this has just been an absolute 2 great off seasons for the Houston Texans, and this just shows, when you rebuilding a team is not as hard as some people make it seem. Obviously, the most difficult part, when I mean not hard, is obviously the quarterback. If you can get a solid quarterback and a quarterback who's going to give you winning football for you, right? It's not as complicated to build around that player. You know what I'm saying? These guys realized what they had in year 1. They realized they've got until 4 years, 5 years until the extension. They're going to have to extend CJ Stroud, right? So now you just lock into trying to win now, take advantage of CJ Stroud's rookie contract where he's not getting paid that much money. And so now, the sky's the limit for this team. I think this team is going to take a huge step defensively with the pieces they've added, with DeMeco Ryans at the helm. You've seen what he did in San Francisco, and I think he's going to continue to build that defense through the draft. And I'm very excited for this team. I mean, I'm not going to go out here and say it's a Super Bowl team because they've got to make a run. We've seen CJ Stroud go out there and dominate one game against the Cleveland Browns, but they did go out there and struggle against the Baltimore Ravens, who had a phenomenal defense. They got embarrassed by the Baltimore Ravens. But again, it's a very, very young team, one of the youngest teams to make the playoffs last year. A very young quarterback, a very young receiving core. Your defense is still very young. You brought in some vets to this team. You built the defense, brought in 3 or 4 players who played in that San Francisco defense with DeMeco Ryans before. I mean, this team can get very scary, and if they get out hot and their defense is playing at a top 10, top 8 level, this team could be so scary. If you give CJ Stroud a top 5, top 8 defense, I mean, listen, they are going to be coming. They are a team to be feared, and a team you don't want to reckon with. Dude, like this offseason couldn't have gone any better for the Houston Texans. They are fully committed into winning now. I mean, listen, they have just jumped. They were already one of my favorites in the AFC before the season even started. This just increased their chances, right? And hopefully they have a good draft. If they get a couple solid pieces in the draft, add some depth pieces in certain areas, I mean, this team will look complete. And I mean, you're looking at a top 5 roster, possibly even top 3. Like, this is a team that's going to win a lot of football games. CJ Stroud has already proven he can win playoff games. Man, I mean, this AFC just gets tougher and tougher every single year. I mean, like, the AFC just continues to stack up, man. Like, it's actually insane. But, I mean, again, great storylines building up. You have the opportunity for a Stefon Diggs versus Trayvon Diggs matchup. Like, how much better can it get than that, So definitely interested to see how all this stuff goes forward. Obviously, we pray for good health for these teams. We want the best possible football as fans and as we're watching this season. But again, I mean, Houston, you got yourself a good one. You know, you couldn't be happier at this specific point. You guys, I mean, change your franchise trajectory in about 2 years. Once you hit on CJ Stroud, it's great to see. It's great for storylines. Great for CJ Stroud. Great for the city of Houston. You know, and this is great, man. Again, this is just. I'm so excited for the Houston Texans going forward. You know, let me know what y'all think in the comments below about this trade. Who do y'all think? You know, how bad do we think the Buffalo Bills are going to be? How good do we think the Houston Texans are going to be? How effective and how good do we think Josh Allen is going to be without Stefon Diggs? And with that being said, I hope y'all enjoyed today's short little video. We'll be doing more stuff like this when good things drop, and a lot of things I want to talk about. You know, a little for the people who can't sit through a whole little hour-long podcast. I'm trying to create more stuff like this for you. So with that being said, I hope y'all appreciate today's video. Let me know what y'all think in the comments below. Like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on post notifications. And for the people who watching my stuff on Spotify, I appreciate you. Drop a 5-star rating on Spotify if you haven't already. Peace.